Hi, my name is Kylie Christensen, and I chose to do my second Who's the Fairest of Them All on the shyness scale. So the scale basically goes from 32 and lower, you have very low levels of shyness. 32 to 52, you have moderate levels, and anything 52 and higher, high levels of shyness. And looking at the study, I found that I was a 16, so that is very low. And that's kind of what I expected because I've always been an extrovert, like talking to people, like to kind of insert myself into conversations. But I found it interesting. In addition with the study, I also used a research paper done, and it's called The Association of Perceived Communication, Apprehension, Shyness, and Verbal Aggression with Perceptions of Source Credibility and Effect in Organizational and Interpersonal Contexts. So this study used the same measure that I used when I took the test, and they used it in two different scenarios. The first one was with bosses and their workers, so like supervisors and their workers, and between roommates. And I found it very interesting that in this study, they decided to define shyness as the actual frequency of a person talking and thus represents a behavioral pattern and not the person's preference toward communication. So when I think of someone that's shy, it's someone that doesn't like to talk, someone that doesn't choose to insert themselves into conversations. And that's basically what this is saying. But it's also taking it to a deeper level of it's not if you like to talk or not, it's looking at your habits. So if you're someone that doesn't like to talk a lot, but you choose to insert yourself because you believe that your opinions are valid, you will overall have a higher perceived level of outgoingness, and you're lower on the shyness scale outwardly than what you might perceive yourself to be. So the first study in looking at workers and their supervisors mainly wanted to test the hypothesis that there would be a significant negative relationship between shyness and source credibility. So if you were someone that was quieter and didn't speak up as much in your behavioral patterns, that you would have a lower level of source credibility. And they wanted to look at shyness in the context of three dimensions of credibility, and that would be the competence, goodwill, and trustworthiness. So they wanted to see how people valued their bosses on a scale using those three dimensions. And while they did find that shyness tends to have lower levels of source credibility, they found mainly that it's extremes. So someone that had high levels of verbal aggression or someone that was shy was rated lower on the source credibility. And the second study looked at roommates, and they also added in the generalized belief measure. So that's just your general attitude towards someone, or how you view your relationship, or just your personal beliefs. So they were looking for a relationship between shyness and the three dimensions again, but also your just overall effect of having a relationship with that person. And in this study, they found that there was high negative correlation between shyness and credibility, but once again, they also found that extremes can be bad. So things like overall being too aggressive in verbal communication. And I think this is very important because as we found in Chapter 1, the principle that we cannot not communicate is very interesting, because whether you're choosing to say something in a conversation or be someone that sits back and doesn't say anything, that can speak volumes, because it doesn't matter if you say something or not, we're always communicating. And I think overall it comes down to the idea that people just want predictability and level-headedness. You want to be able to go into work and all of a sudden not have your boss yell at you for no reason. You want to be able to kind of guess what they're going to be like and not have to constantly be on tiptoes around them. And I think that also comes down to the roommate idea. No one wants a roommate that is going to be super happy one minute and then yelling at you for no reason another minute. So I think shyness and verbal aggression kind of go together in the fact that no one wants extremes. And I'm not really surprised that I was low levels of shyness. So yeah, that's my second Who's the Fairest of Them All.